Hello everyone and welcome back to the video series on process management. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss on the concept of process operations and the concept of inter-process communication. So let's start. Basically, we will be discussing on what are the various operations those are performed on a process. So typically, these are the various operations which are performed on a process, such as creating a process, killing a process, dispatching a process, changing the priority of a process, blocking a process, timer and backup of a process, resuming the process back, and suspension of a process. So basically these are the 9 various operations which are performed on process with respect to the scenario or with respect to the environment which the operating system is dealing with. So now with the help of simple flow diagram, I'm going to explain you how this single operation occurs with respect to that particular process. So let's have a look at this particular flow diagram. In this particular diagram, the various operations are mentioned with the help of red color text. And you can see there are circles which are mentioned, rather the circles are mentioning about the various states of the process, which we discussed in my last video lecture. And with the serial numbers, you will understand what sequence these operations are actually performed onto the process. So let us start with the first, that is create. Now create is the first operation which is performed when a newly process is created. When a process is created in a new state. If you see serial number 2, that is dispatch, and it is actually shown across the ready state. Now we have understood that when a process is ready to be getting executed with the CPU, or it is waiting for the CPU time and it is ready with the required resources, then this second operation will be performed, that is dispatch. It means that particular process will be dispatched with the CPU so that it will be changing its state from ready to running. Then serial number 3, it is mentioning about an operation, that is block operation. Now we discussed that when a process is into the running state, it may happen that it will get interrupted due to certain IO request. So if it is interrupted due to IO request, then the operation which is performed onto that particular process will be block operation. Now, after that particular operation, obviously, the system will change the state of that particular process from running to blocked. After that, you can see with the serial number 4, that is wake up. It means after the completion of that particular IO request, the system has to again resume back its operation by again allotting or getting allotted into the ready queue, waiting for the CPU. So with the wake up operation, what will happen is the process will get completed from its IO request, and then it will be again assigned to the ready queue. Right? So obviously here the state of the process will change from block to ready. Moving further, if you see serial number 5 here, then you can understand if a particular process is into the running state and the timing which was assigned to that particular process in that moment of time is over, but that process is yet to finish its operation with the CPU. Then what will happen is this timer operation will be initiated, with which the process will be changing its state from running to ready. Why? Because it is again wanting a chance to get executed with the CPU for the remaining time, right? Moving further, serial number 6, that is kill. So kill is nothing but an operation where the process is actually terminated by completing its execution successfully. So after the kill operation is executed, then the process will change its state to terminated state. So it will convey that the process is over. Serial number 7 is talking about suspension. Means if a process is in running state and if it is suspended for some time because of some reason, maybe it's a low priority process and a high priority process has come in, so it is actually suspended for some amount of time. In that scenario, the suspend operation will take place. And after the suspend operation is initiated, the process will change its state from running to suspend ready state. After the suspend ready state, if you look at the serial number 8, it is resume operation. It will communicate, it will convey that after the suspend ready state, again the process is getting chance to get into the ready queue by changing its state from suspend ready to ready state, so that it will again get chance to get executed with CPU, right? So resume means what? The process will again resume back the ready state so that it will complete its leftover work with the CPU. So here with this 8 different operations, we understood that how a process actually initiate an operation and how it keeps on changing its state from one state to another state. Let's proceed further. Now we will understand a concept of process hierarchy. Modern general purpose operating system use to create and destroy the processes. A process may create several new processes during its time of execution. The creating process is called parent process, while new processes are called child process or children processes. Okay, so the first process which is getting created with the new state, it will be called as parent process, and in line with that particular process, if there are some sub processes which are getting created, those will be termed as children or child process. In Unix operating system, this particular creation of the children processes is done by a fork system call, which creates a child process, and the exit system call will terminate the current process. So here, with the help of simple tree structure, you can see that this A is nothing but a parent process. In turn, it has created the two children processes B and C. So in Unix operating system, A forks B and C. Similarly, if you see the B, rather at the second level, if you see B is the parent process, okay, and it has in turn forked the 3 children processes D, E, F. Okay. So this is simple tree structure diagram with which we can understand the process hierarchy. Like A is a parent process, B and C are children of A. Similarly, B is a parent here, and D, E, F are the children of process B. Now, we will see some key terms with respect to inter-process communication. So, while learning this particular concept, we need to understand what are the two types of processes which actually the operating system has to handle. So, the key terms in inter-process communication are cooperating processes and synchronization among concurrently running processes. So in these 2-3 slides, we will understand that exactly what are the cooperating processes, concurrent processes, or independent processes. Cooperating processes require shared memory, shared resources, and synchronization among concurrently executing processes. It means two processes are said to be cooperating with each other when they require certain resources to be shared among themselves, right? Such as shared memory, shared CPU time, okay? And then they have to be working in synchronization with each other. Concurrent execution means parallel execution of multiple processes. Now let us try to understand the concept of concurrent processes with a simple image. Here, two processes are concurrent when they are executed in a way that their execution intervals overlap. So what do you mean by that? If you see this particular simple image here, these two types of images are depicting about whether these two processes are concurrent or not. So in the first image, if you see, there is concurrency happening. Why? Because if you see these two processes which are shown with the help of these bars, they are getting collided, they are getting intervened with each other as far as the time interval is concerned. So this much portion, if you observe, is getting overlapped. It means this much portion of these two processes, they are working parallelly, they are executing parallelly with each other. That is why this is called concurrency, or these processes are called concurrent processes. But if you see the second image, there is no concurrency. Why? Because these two processes are not getting overlapped with each other as far as time intervals are concerned. Okay, so there is no concurrency. So this particular simple images, you can understand where is concurrency happening with respect to two processes and where is no concurrency. Now, concurrent processes executing in operating system may be either independent or cooperating. Now let us try to understand when two processes are called as independent and when two processes are called as cooperating process. Independent process cannot affect or be affected by the other process executing in the system. Means the two processes which are not dependent on each other for any of the resource can be called as independent processes, and they cannot be affected by other process executing in the system. Any process that does not share any data, any resource with any other can be considered as independent. Whereas cooperating process can affect or be affected by the other processes executing in the system. Why? Because they share the data, they share the resources with other processes. So now let us look at the problems which can arise with respect to concurrent processes. The first problem, that is data race. Now what do you mean by this? You can have this particular problem which is called as data race, or it is also called as race condition from the database management system perspective. In your application, when you have two or more tasks writing a shared variable without using any synchronization mechanism. It means when there is a resource and which is getting shared by more than one process, and both the processes are trying to not only share, but they are trying to modify that particular shared resource at the same time. Okay, so that time the problem which will arise will be called as data race. Now, just to explain you with one more example, I mentioned before some time that race condition can be viewed in database management system subject also with respect to banking example. If there is a joint account and the two account holders of that particular joint account, they are trying to modify the balance of that particular account at the same time. Means if someone is trying to withdraw certain amount and someone is trying to maybe deposit certain amount into that particular account. But in this case, if there is no any kind of a synchronization mechanism, I will give you an example of synchronization mechanism. It's nothing but timestamp. If you the viewers of this particular video, they are knowing about the basics of timestamp, then they will understand. With that, at least it can be analyzed that which particular transaction happened first, and with respect to that timestamp, the consistent updation would happen to that particular database so that the ultimate result will not be ambiguous. So that was an example from database management system. Similarly, in operating system also, when there is a shared variable and where that particular shared variable is actually getting modified or shared by more than one process, then there should be some synchronization mechanism should be used. We will study about it later. The second problem which can arise with respect to concurrent processes is deadlock. Now, what do you mean by deadlock? There is a deadlock in your concurrent application when there are two or more tasks waiting for a shared resource that must be free from the other. So none of them will get the resources they need and will be blocked indefinitely. In simple language, when again there are more than one processes trying to share a resource, okay, and that particular resource is allocated to some other process, and if that particular process is not in a position to release that particular resource, then what will happen is the other process which is relying on that resource will also be in the waiting state. Okay, so likewise, if there are more processes which are waiting for each other in order to release the resource which is allocated by the earlier process, it will end up in a loop, or it will end up in a cycle. Okay, so that kind of situation can be called as a deadlock. So here, in case of concurrent processes, this deadlock situation can arise. The third problem with respect to concurrent process is resource starvation. Now let us understand this. Resource starvation occurs when you have a task in your system that never gets a resource that it needs to continue with its execution. Let's try to understand with an example. Suppose there is a process which has started accessing certain resource which is shared, and it is having low priority, and another process comes in and that particular process is having higher priority. So what will happen is this lower priority process will be preempted, or it will be halted, and the resource which was allocated to this particular process will be given to the high priority process. And if suppose this high priority process keeps on allocating this particular resource or keeps on demanding this particular resource as per the execution of that process, then what will happen is the result will be the low priority process will never get chance to again get allocated with the resource and continue its execution or continue its task. In this scenario, the low priority process, which is actually starving because of the resource, which actually it is expecting to continue its execution, is called as a starved process. And this scenario is called as resource starvation. So when there is more than one task waiting for a resource and the resource is released, the system has to choose the next task that can use it. If your system has not got a good algorithm, it can have threads that are waiting for a long time for the resource. So this is in terms of operating system language. I just explained you with a simple example of a low priority process and a high priority process. So this is the problem of resource starvation. So hope you understood whatever we discussed in this video lecture. Stay tuned for my next lecture.